This is Chapter 4 on Women Radio 91.7. Chapter 4 is a weekly radio program that talks to us about our human rights as Nigerians. Today we're going to be focusing on jungle justice. And that's why I have from Project Candlelight with me, Damilare, in the studio. Now, as far back as 2015, he survived jungle justice incident that happened in Ajah, Lagos. And that experience has, sparked up an awareness for him on why we should speak up against jungle justice. You want to tell us, a little bit about what happened?
I was coming back from work in the evening around like 9:30.
Okay.
And somebody just approached me and it was like, oh boy, why? He said it in pidgin and he was like, oh boy, why you hold my leg that time? And I was like, I was still trying to wrap my head around, I don't know this guy. And before you know it, people started hitting me with bottles, with sticks.
Just like that?
Just like that. Apparently, it was at the bus stop before I got there.
Okay.
And someone stole his phone. So he didn't know until he got to the next bus stop. So he had to come back. He came back with a mob.
More people. Oh my God.
So the guy that stole his phone was wearing a white t-shirt.
And you were wearing a white t-shirt?
I was wearing a white t-shirt. So
that's all that was needed?
That was all.
And Nigeria is no stranger to jungle justice. We know what happened in the case of Alu 4, where 4 innocent men were lynched in public and filmed in Alu community in River State. And it was a very defining moment in our history. And one would think that moment would call for more safer ways to go about arresting criminals, or safer ways to go about stating your case. What do you think is the state of Nigeria as regards human rights, and then the rights of, I'm talking about the rights of criminals, and people believe that, if he's innocent, he didn't deserve it, but if he was guilty, he deserves it. Now, there is a case where in your case, that man could have actually found the actual person who stole his phone, and the next thing is they would want to lynch him. What awareness do you think we have as Nigerians that is not the way to go? The
Nigerian Constitution, section 33 and 34.
Okay.
Really, 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 really states that you cannot take an other human being's life without due process. That is what the courts of laws are for. You don't just assume as yourself as the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
Yes.
We have all these institutions in place in our country. We have the police.
Okay.
And I noticed that a lot of people don't have trust for these policemen. They don't have trust for our security agencies.
Okay.
That is why they take laws into
their own hands.
Yes, but we need to be more. We need to have empathy for each other.
How many percent would you say this lack of trust in the public officials and the police officers is the huge reason for people meting out jungle justice themselves?
Kiki, I'll be honest with you, man. I would say 70%.
70%?
Yes, 70%.
Okay.
Because we Nigerians are naturally, we don't really trust each other. So, talk of trusting the security agencies. Yes, and we really need to do more. We really need to sensitize each other. We really need to talk to each other. We started Project Candlelight. We wanted to talk to top guys, go to government agencies and stuff like that, but we spoke to each other and we before the policemen get here, the people that do these things are you and I. We are citizens. Yes, there are provisions in the constitution for citizens arrest and all that, but you cannot kill another human being
or harm or cause harm.
I will be honest with you, people don't want to even harm. They just want to destroy, and it is wrong. It is wrong. If not for we do it for people that there's a reason they call them suspected criminals. So yes, there's a reason they call them suspected criminals. So you can't just take laws into your hands.
Jungle justice or mob justice is a form of public extrajudicial killings, and unfortunately it's quite popular in sub-Saharan Africa, most notably Nigeria and Cameroon, and it's quite unfortunate because it's a symptom of a gross human rights abuse that occurs here in our country. Now, when an alleged criminal is decided to be guilty because the decision happens right there on the spot. They're mostly humiliated. A lot of women are stripped. There's so many cases of women being stripped and just filmed until someone comes to save them, and if she's unlucky and no one comes to save her, she's killed. Same thing for men. They're stripped, beaten, filmed, killed, and executed basically by the crowd, sometimes even vigilantes. See, that's the part where we need to talk about, because it's sanctioned human rights abuse. It's like the human rights abuse has been sanctioned. The vigilante is not necessarily the police, but they have a certain level of power and authority in our society. So what do you think is the appropriate solution? I know we haven't even discussed at length what the problem is, but what do you think an immediate solution would be to talking about just jungle justice and curbing it in our society? Okay.
In 2017, Senator Dynamyt raised a motion on the floor of the Nigerian Assembly, and he actually pushed for an anti-jungle justice law. It was passed on the ground, but it didn't make it
to the second reading. Jungle justice, and not just jungle justice, sanctioned jungle justice happens everywhere. So why do you think there are not enough politicians willing to back this up?
I am just particular about us coming up with laws and trying to save lives here, because people are dying, people are killing each other. We need to look for ways to bring everybody together and sensitize them. We need to educate the security agencies. We need to educate each other. We need to educate. We need to. I think the most important thing is to come up with laws that will criminalize it. In Ikorodu some years back, I used to stay in Ikorodu. The Bado incident. All people had to see when we went on our outreaches, and I was talking to some guys and I was telling them, jungle justice, this and that, and this guy in Yoruba, he just said Sarah. Sarah means like, who cares?
Oh, who cares?
And I was like, man, you need to have empathy, because this happened. I wasn't expecting that to happen to me that night. I was just coming back from work, and in 2 minutes or in 2 seconds in 2 seconds, my life changed. And I was staring at death right there in front of me. I cannot wish that on even my worst enemy. You don't want to go through that. Till today I still suffer from PTSD, because I can't cope with sudden movement in the night. I don't go out in the night again. I don't because and I think we need to also talk about mental health in Nigeria, because a lot of people are going through trauma, and because of that they are taking it out on other people. Because you've been robbed, it means the next person or the next person that has been accused or will be accused of robbing someone, or these people kill little children. We need to put an end to this.
I know I have talked about the I've talked about sanctioned jungle justice. That is when this jungle justice comes from above, from the official security agents that are supposed to be in charge. I'm talking about vigilante, but I'm also talking about the Nigerian police, the Nigerian army. I'll cite a few examples, but let's go to the phone lines. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling me from?
Okay, my name is Sam. I'm calling from Apapa.
Sam from Apapa. All right, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any contributions or questions?
Yeah, is it concerning the jungle justice?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am a victim too, and I understand what that brother is saying. The disaster. How I wish people on WhatsApp, but I'm showing you a picture of myself, that my head was butchered.
Oh no.
Kind of. I just understand God.
I can imagine how difficult it must be. It's scary. I mean, you're robbed and next thing you're being treated like a criminal. There is a documentary out there, Anatomy of Killing, and it's just there. Someone who was wearing an army uniform, who they allege is a member of the Nigerian army, or who they allege is a member of the what's the country? Cameroonian army. I beg your pardon. Executed a woman who they suspected to be a Boko Haram member, and the child she was carrying on her back. She was shot 4 times and then left for dead. And people find it difficult to feel sorry for her because of how much of a menace Boko Haram has been. But the truth is, like you said, at that point, one person decided to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner. And everyone deserves fair trial. Everyone deserves fair trial. And if people come out to tell their stories of how they have been victims of, jungle justice, you can shed a tear because the stories are crazy. The trauma is crazy. And then there are young children who go to school every morning, and on their way to school, they just see... Bring tire was actually a normal term in Lagos, because if you're caught stealing, they put a tire around your neck and burn you to death. So this was something that people just grew up around, and it's difficult to break. And you spoke about the psychological effects, or you spoke about the mental health aspect of this. What do you think is the best way to get people to unlearn this?
Everyone is entitled to their right to life. You cannot take another human being's life. In fact, if you take another human being's life because you suspect them of committing a crime, you should go to prison because you are committing a crime. So, like, unlearning it, now going towards unlearning it, I think it starts from educating our children, educating ourselves, from the schools, from our place of worship, from every gathering, from the radio, sensitizing people, talking to people. And that is what Project Candlelight does. We go to everywhere to tell people about jungle justice, about the lives that have been lost, about how we need to show empathy to each other.
Honestly, empathy is the operative word here. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I think it's really brave for you to come out of that and still go back into I don't want to say into the jungle, but almost literally to advocate against jungle justice. So thank you so much for everything that you do, and of course keep the candlelight burning. That's what it's called, right? Project Candlelight. Thank you so much, Damilare, for joining us today. Or do not forget to join us every Thursday from 3 p.m. right here on Women Radio 91.7. My name is Kiki Mordi. This has been such a pleasure, and I mean, it comes without saying that it's quite emotional to talk about. But thank you so much, and I hope to catch you again next week. Don't go anywhere.